Hello and welcome to today's Atticus Advantage webinar, Finding New Clients While Running Your Law Firm Remotely. Today's presentation is led by attorney and practice advisor Steve Riley. Steve, I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to you because there's a lot of material to cover, and I know this is valuable information for all of our audience today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to this particular webinar. It's a very unique webinar. While we've done a lot of work on how to develop clients, how to develop referral sources, how to grow your practice, we've never done one while you're working virtually from home with a shelter-in-place order during a global pandemic. So it's a first for us. And consequently, because it's a first, I brought in some heavy guns. So I brought in attorney Kimberly Lee, who's going to join us. Kimberly is practicing in California. She's a fantastic estate planning attorney who is the education chair for the solo and small firm section of California currently, has built and runs a fabulous practice in Palm Desert, California. And she's also an adjunct practice advisor. Some of our clients will recognize her. She also was a summit speaker a couple of years ago for our annual summit. And Kimberly's going to join me to talk about some of the things she's learned from doing virtual intakes and a fantastic first responder marketing campaign that she started. And I don't really want to call it a marketing campaign. It's more of an awareness campaign, and how she's cultivating goodwill, trying to support first responders, and really kind of expanding her client and referral community at the same time. In addition to that, we also have a special treat. We have attorney Brian Douglas, who is from Atlanta. Brian is very unique in that not only is he a very successful attorney, but Brian is also a TED coach, a TED Talk coach. So he goes around the country doing presentations, and it's just a gifted speaker. And he's joining us because he's got a very, very cool campaign / small business charity. And I don't want to steal too much of the thunder because I want him to talk about it, that I'm asking him to share, that I think is very, very unique. Brian is active in our Dominate Your Market program, so is Kimberly. So we have both two very, very good attorneys that are very good business owners and very good marketers joining us to kind of share insights and thoughts. So as Mike said, I don't want to spend too much time on certain things. I want to get Brian and Kimberly talking to you as much as I possibly can. So they'll join us in a few minutes. With that being said, those of you that are on today's webinar, we have a couple hundred attorneys on today's webinar, and some of you are new to Atticus. So I just wanted to spend a few minutes to talk about us so you have a context where we're coming from with some of our advice. Our company was founded in 1989, and really we're about helping great lawyers build great law practices. And we look for ways of helping you increase your net, increase your gross, reduce stress, take greater time off, focus more on the things that make you happy, and really allow more time for you to do the things that you want to do with your practice. And most of us, when we start practicing, become slaves to our practice. We get overwhelmed and consumed by our practices, and we lose sight and control of the things that make us happy. And so we really were founded as a company to look at ways of helping lawyers break out of that trap and grow. In our workshops and programs, all are done, all of our workshops and programs are done with that intent. And we work with lawyers that are typically solo and small firm, while we work with lawyers that are partners in large firms. They're probably more of a minority than the majority of our client base. We work with legal associations. We're pleased to have an alliance with the Ohio Bar, the Illinois Bar Association, both fabulous bar associations that we're lucky to have alliances with. In addition, we have a strategic alliance with a company called Wealth Counsel, and we have a fantastic relationship with their sister company, Elder Counsel. So we work with a lot of players in the legal industry, and currently we work with about 500, 600 law firms across the country. And we really try and focus on from the point in time you decide to start your practice to the point in time that you try to sell your practice. So that kind of cradle to grave approach. The way that we deliver our services are through knowledge products like this, webinars, live workshops, coaching programs, one-on-one consulting, and knowledge products. And this year, we started a hiring process that we call Build My Great Team, which is really a full service recruitment process for lawyers that are looking to add team members on and don't know how to hire well. And so we have a hiring process now that we started this year because so many of our clients demand it. Now, with that said, most lawyers, when we start to work with them, really want to have more free time, better clients, better cash, and better staff. To get there, though, they've got to learn to think a little differently. And what's up on your screen, if you're just listening right now, I'm going to ask you to stop and look at the screen so you can understand this graphic. Your legal skills are the bedrock of your practice. They really are. Without your legal skills and your licensed practice, you can't practice law. However, to grow your business, you have to focus on what we consider your business skills. And your business skills are the ability to focus your time, focus yourself, get new clients, build and manage your team, and cash flow and profitability. These things are actually the things that grow your top line revenue and your bottom line revenue. And those are business skills. So one of the things that we sometimes as lawyers, we often do is we collapse our thinking. We think that as long as I become a greater lawyer, a better lawyer, then my gross revenue will improve, my net will improve, and I'll have more time off. It doesn't work that way. Really what you have to do is focus on your business skills and let your legal skills kind of take care of themselves. In my experience, if you've been practicing 10 years or more, you're about as good as you're going to get in your profession. Everything else is nuance and small improvements, but after about 10 years of practice in a particular area, you're pretty much cooked as far as skill development goes. The only way that you actually grow is with your business skills, and that's where we see most of the lawyers have explosive growth. Now, with that said, as you go through today's presentation, keep pencil, paper ready. Some people will take screenshots of different screens that they like and find interesting. And the session's interactive. So if you have a question, raise your hand, Mike will unmute you. And we're going to do what we can to cover all the content that we've put together today. So here's our goals. First and foremost, I want you to think, if you haven't already done so, I want you to think about how to innovate your client intake process so it becomes virtual. 2, we're going to talk through a couple of specific strategies to build your referrals and get referrals now. We're going to talk a few strategies, probably 3 or 4, on how to build referrals and keep business flowing from your existing clients. And then 5 strategies, actually 6. We threw a bonus one in there on how to grow your law firm today, and see if there's anything else that we can help you with. And kind of sorting through this pandemic and trying to figure out what to do next. So I've given Kimberly Lee permission to jump in anytime she feels like it. Brian will have that same permission, so you may hear them just suddenly jump in. If they do, they do. So let's talk about the virtual intake. If you're going to market and bring clients in the door, one of the most important things you need to think through is when you get a client, or excuse me, when you get a prospect calling you or emailing you or reaching out to you, what do you do now? What do you do? Because you're in a position now where you used to be able to do a face-to-face appointment and bring them to the office, and you can't do that now. So you have to figure out, how do you bring in clients virtually? How do you land them virtually? How do you take on new business virtually? The first thing I have to say about that is a process is still a process. Your process to bring on a prospect, from a prospect to a client, from a lead prospect to a client, is a process. It's totally a process. And when you go virtually, it's still a process. And you have to think through, what do you have to change in that process to make it work? And as I think about this, my first piece of advice to you is, if you've never done this before, diagram your existing prospect to client intake process. Literally draw it out on paper, or draw it on an electronic whiteboard, whatever way you want to do it, I don't care, but draw it. Don't type it, don't put together an outline, visually flow it out. And literally, like, from the point in time you get a lead to the point in time they write you a check and become a client, what does that process look like? Because most of the time, your team only sees little segments of it. And most of the time, you won't understand certain things that you're going to have to adjust when you go virtually. So the easiest thing to do is to first and foremost diagram how you currently do it. And once you diagram how you currently do it, then you have to start thinking through, how do I go virtual? How do I take it virtual? And you're still going to do a face-to-face meeting more than likely, whether it's you or your team members, but you're just going to do it on a virtual platform. And then you'll have to think through which one works the best for you. There's a whole bunch of platforms. Right now we're using GoToMeeting. Our company also uses Zoom. You know, Microsoft Teams has a virtual face-to-face platform component. Skype has a process. FaceTime has a process. Facebook Live, excuse me, has a process. So there's all kinds of different face-to-face processes. You got to find one that works for you, one that's simple, one that more importantly, your prospects can use easily. So you may not look for one with all the bells and whistles. You may look for the one that's the easiest for your prospects and clients to use. And the ones that we typically see lawyers using are JoinMe, Zoom, GoToMeeting, and sometimes the Apple product FaceTime. So it really depends on what you're trying to do, the sophistication level of your clients. And then at the end of the day, a process is going to be that you got to think it through. So at this point, I'm going to ask Kimberly Lee. Kimberly, are you with me?
Yes, I am. Let me get on the camera.
Kimberly, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Hold on. I think it might be on my end.
Can you hear me now? Steve, can you hear me?
Battery 100%. Connected to DSKTOP.
Kimberly, I can hear you.
Okay.
It's an issue on Steve's end.
All right.
Hey, sorry, Kimberly. You guys hear me? My speaker turned off. I guess I was babbling too much and it turned off on me. So sorry about that. It turned off. So Kimberly, I'm sorry. I don't know if you were saying anything or not, but
no, I said, can you hear
Siri
me?
picked me
I
up.
assume it was my problem.
Now I can hear you. So, sorry about that. So tell me, you went virtual. How did you do it? What were the steps that you took, and what advice would you have for lawyers that are designing a virtual intake process?
Well, we went virtual because we didn't have a choice. We were shut down for 2 weeks, so I thought we can do anything for 2 weeks. But we are now in 46 days of shelter in place, so we had to figure out a better solution. We started using Zoom for our office, and we noticed that, as Steve mentioned before, is a completely different variation of our existing process. We have found that it's very helpful if we have an agenda ahead of time for the appointment, so we can keep each other focused. And also, we increase the pre-education for the prospect, because some of them, our clients are older and they may not know how to use Zoom or other forms of video conferencing. So we typically have our assistants call ahead, send them a link, and then walk them through the process before the meeting. So on the date of the meeting, they will call them a few minutes before, make sure they can get on the Zoom conference call before I jump on. Also, we noticed that I had to be more prepared just from myself than usual, because in the past, in the office, even though we're paperless, our staff members will prepare the files for my meetings. So now I'm here by myself at home. I have to do everything myself. So I had to be more focused on what I'm going to be covering, what I will need for the meeting. And also, I noticed that when I do the Zoom meeting, for example, it's different because I'm looking to the camera, and I have to look at my information as well. So it's important to focus the eye contact, because from the other perspective, from the prospect's perspective, the only way they can connect with you is through the camera and your voice. So I noticed I have to increase the energy when I'm holding the Zoom meetings or telephone conference with a prospect.
That's great, Kimberly, actually. That's fantastic. So two takeaways for me that I totally missed, and I hope everybody listening caught it, was one of the things was Kimberly's use of Team to make sure the prospect has downloaded the software and tested the software. So Kimberly's not having to do that herself. And two, pre-education. So Kimberly, can you talk about some of the ways that you're using pre-education techniques in your process?
Yes, we have some internal, for example, videos that we would send it to the prospect ahead of time so they know what to expect during the Zoom meeting. And number one. Number two is that our office, our front desk ladies, when she spoke to the prospects, she's using that opportunity to educate them as to how we are handling these meetings to keep them safe, that our office are fully functional, operational, and working remotely since day one. So they have a sense of confidence. And we also explain to them how that process will look like if they do engage us, so that there's no issue as far as walking them through the planning documents and also the notarization process.
So that's brilliant. So you're not only kind of explaining them educationally, you're sending them videos to educate them on certain elements of your practice, like legal education, legal technical, like the differences between certain legal tools and how the process will work. But you're also having your team make sure the Zoom is working and then explaining your COVID-19 protocols so they feel safe and secure, and assuring them that you guys are up and operating, even though you may be doing it out of your house.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I like that. Well, there's a couple practical things I want to ask you about, and I'm just going to move to the next slide. One of the practical questions is, how do they pay you? I mean, do they can't write you a check, which is a classic approach where they write the check across the table and ask you, how do they hire you? How do they pay you? How does your firm thought through that process?
So during the once I go through the Zoom conference with the clients, I explained to them that the next step is going to be we will send them a electronic document for them to sign to engage us. So we have set up all our engagement agreement to be signed electronically. We also include a pay link where they can click and pay directly, securely through their credit card or debit card. Now, if our clients who are elderly, they literally could not use a computer to pay online, then they will mail us a check. We do send our paralegal to the office to pick up the checks once a week.
I got it. Very good. Now, it's interesting. I had a fantastic conversation with attorney Vinny Bonazzoli in Boston about the same issue. One of the things that Vinny also does is he has people read the credit card number to him over the phone. So they're actually taking, the credit card information over the phone as well. So I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm just saying between Kimberly, what Vinny's doing, and other professionals are doing, you have to think through your process of how to get paid. Now, some case management systems like Rocket Matters, Clio, my case, I know have a online or built-in payment system electronically. I don't know enough about the other case management systems out there. I know those three do, so you may want to check with your case management system. So if you have one of those three, you should be able to use their process. But if you don't have one of those three, you want to check with the company that you do use to see if they have an electronic payment process that might be available through the case management system that you have. Kimberly, anything you want to add to that before I move on and talk about how to strengthen referral relationships with professional referral sources?
Yes, just one quick thing. We use LawPay. We used to use the credit card processing through the vendor through Costco. I'm Chinese, so I'm usually looking for a good deal. And we have shopped around, and LawPay seemed to be very reasonable as far as your processing fees concerned. And I did a presentation that I mentioned I use LawPay, and they actually reached out to me. I don't get anything out of this, by the way. They gave me a code that I can share, and I can send that to Mike. That if those of you have not used them or using the website processing, they're offering a discount right now.
That's great. So LawPay is great. We've also, as a company, worked with LexCharge. So those are probably the two biggest players out there. We've had LexCharge do a webinar on how to think through your credit card payment process. So if you do, you can also call LexCharge and use my name as well to see what kind of deal they may offer you. But those are the two biggest players out there, really, LawPay and LexCharge. And those are usually the ones that the case management systems have integrated into their payment process. So they just basically integrate that process into theirs. I know that Rocket Matters uses LexCharge. So you have to find the one that works for you, kind of like Kimberly. Kimberly went, because she's Chinese, went and found the best deal she could.
Now, Kimberly, please do email me the code. We've got people asking for it already, and I'll put it in the chat box.
Okay, great. I'd be happy to.
Okay. Kimberly pre-negotiated a deal for everybody. You guys need to send her a thank you card or something. All right, so Kimberly, you're more than welcome to stay on and talk about the next stage, which is we talked about kind of doing the virtual process, taking your intake process and making it virtual. One of the things I want to talk a few minutes about is how to get business in the door. And I want to talk about what we're hearing on the street. And I want to focus first on professional referral sources. So what I mean by that is I don't mean your clients. I mean financial planners, CPAs, doctors, other lawyers, people that refer you work because they have somebody asking them who to go talk to. So you have to think about, as we go through this conversation, who are your primary referral sources other than your clients? We're going to talk in a few minutes about how to talk to your clients to ask them for business. But right now, I just want you to think about who sends you business that's not a client, that sends you work because you're good and they know you'll take good care of people. So you have to think about who those folks are. Now, interesting, I have no evidence to support this. You know, like I said, when we started, we work with about 500, 600 law firms, people that are like Kimberly's caliber, Brian's caliber, some of the biggest plaintiff firms in the country we work with. And here's what we're hearing on the street. This is just word on the street. Advertising is not getting the same traction as it once was. We're not sure the reasons why, but currently during this pandemic, people aren't getting the same outcomes from their advertising. It may be that people are home, it may be their buying habits have shifted, it may be that people are waiting to do same things, but what we're seeing though is that referrals are strong. In fact, we're seeing that referrals are growing and we're trying to figure out why. So advertising's on the decline right now, and I should say advertising on the decline, let me rephrase that, I'm sorry. The traction and outcome from advertising appears to be on the decline based on what our clients are telling us, our law firms are telling us. So we're not sure what's going on, we're trying to get our brains wrapped around it, we're trying to get other people that make their living helping law firms through advertising get their brains wrapped around it so we can see what's going on. But referrals are strong, if not growing right now. Why? And the only theory I can come up with is, and this is just my theory, is that people are really stressed, people are highly anxious. And when people are highly stressed, highly anxious, they take less risk. And when they take less risk, they want to go to the most trusted sources. And they have time to shop right now. They have time to ask. They have time to look for the best. And the more stressed they are, the more they'll look for the best. So my theory right now is that people are highly stressed, highly anxious. So consequently, what they're trying to do is ask other professionals that they trust and respect who's the best and why they're the best. And I think that's having a huge impact on business. When it comes to and Kimberly, I'm going to ask you if you're still with me. I can't see this. I can't see your webcam or anything. Are you still with me, Kimberly?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. Do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, do you have any feedback or thoughts on that?
Yes, we're actually getting referrals even during this period. We typically do our retail seminars and other marketing strategies in person, but we had to change our marketing strategy, and we are seeing an increase in referrals.
Yeah, so good. So it's interesting. I mean, people will have needs during this time period. So I'm just going to encourage you not to give up. And I'm going to walk for a minute through what we consider the Atticus referral development process. Those of you that have worked with one of our coaches, those of you that are in the practice growth program or dominate your market program will recognize this. But this is basically an overview of the process, which is first and foremost, you have to know what to say. You have to know how and when it's appropriate to say it. You have to track the outcome and results. You have to have an accountability structure, and you need to know who to talk to, and when you talk to those people, what to say to get them to send you business. So it's kind of a process. It's kind of a circular process, and the more you do it, the better you get. I've got two strategies for you today that I'm going to recommend. Number one, I want you to identify who are your top 20 referral sources. And these are non-clients, these are professional referral sources. Like I say, it could be attorneys, doctors, CPAs, people that send you work. And I want you to literally make a list. And if you don't know who your top 20 are, then you're going to have to go back over the past 90 days to 6 months and kind of identify where you got cases and figure out who is sending you work. And this top 20 is probably the most valuable assets that you have from a marketing perspective, because they have a direct correlation. I mean, my running joke is the quality of your practice is directly correlated to the quality of your referral sources. So if you have a top 5 and not a top 20, you probably don't have the revenue you want. So for me, the more high caliber referral sources that you have, the more high caliber cases you get and the better your practice is. So this is one of the key marketing elements for referral-based marketing, is that you've got to really build up your referral base. Now, once you identify your top 20, or if you don't have a top 20, your top 10, whatever it is, I want you to call them. I don't want you to email them. A lot of lawyers will email. I think it's a huge mistake. I want you to pick up the phone and call them. I don't mean your staff, I mean you, the attorney. These are your top 20 referral sources. I want you to call them, and here's some of the things that I want you to say. 1, how are you doing? How's your business? Is there anything I can do to help you? Is there anything you need that I can support you with? Currently, what's the biggest challenge that you're dealing with within your practice? And this is a trick. This is a really critically important question. I want you to phrase it this way. If you send us a referral, I just want to let you know how we're treating them right now. And this is where you get to explain your virtual process, the virtual process that we just talked about creating. That's why I led the presentation with this. Now, I didn't say that I want you to say, why are you not sending me business, or can you send me business? It's kind of an interesting question. If you're in a position to send us a referral, this is how we're treating them right now. So you're basically kind of saying, please send a referral. And when you do send a referral, this is how they're being treated right now. And you're letting them know you're open for business. Now, you can acknowledge them, express gratitude, and then call your next person. So this is a really simple framework, a really simple script, a really simple conversation. You can screenshot it. You can watch this tomorrow when it's posted on YouTube, whatever you want to do. But this is a really great framework, or simple framework, for talking to your top 20. Now, when you talk to those top 20, if you have a better relationship, with one of them, ask for business. And we found statistically, the lawyers that ask for business get more business. I know it's crazy. You're asking for it, you get it. But I came up with 3 different asks just for this webinar. Now, once again, it depends on the relationship. Now, with Kimberly, with Brian, with Vinny Bonazzoli, who I talked about before, these are long-term clients, long-term friends that I know I can call and ask a favor for. Kimberly and Brian are here as a favor for me. So I know I can ask them directly for things. If I don't have a great relationship with someone, I may not be that aggressive and ask these questions. So you have to figure out what your level of confidence is in that relationship, whether or not you feel comfortable making these asks. But I want to share you the 3 asks that I've created for this call. The first one is a very, very basic one. It's a very basic one. It's gutsy, it takes courage, and it's the slow ask. It's this, after you go through the questions I've asked on the previous slide, things are slow, and business is slow right now. Things are really slow. I would appreciate any work that you can send us, or any referrals that you can send us. So you're letting them know things are slow and you're asking for business. Number 2, is there anything on the back burner that can be moved to the front that we can help you with? Is there anything on the back burner that you can move to the front that we can help you with? And number 3, this is one of my favorites. I've used this ask so many times over my career. It's one of my favorites. But this is a little twist to it. It's called the bored ask. I'm so bored right now. Would you please help a quarantined lawyer out and send me something to do? I'm crazy bored, and I'm stuck here in my house. I got nothing interesting to work on. Do you have any type of cases that you can send me, please, because I'm bored out of my mind? So you have to, those are samples of 3 asks. You have to kind of find an ask that works for you. I'm a big fan of making a script out of your ask and practicing your ask. I don't typically blunder into a phone call without kind of thinking through strategically how I want to make my ask and what my end game is with that phone call. I'm not that type of person. It just makes me nervous. However, I have friends and clients. I think Brian, who we'll talk in a few minutes, Brian is a off the hook personality. And so Brian probably would wander into about anything and say anything because he's afraid of nothing. Whereas me and Kimberly, we're a little bit more timid, right, Kimberly? Except Kimberly's a better negotiator than I am, clearly. Kimberly, anything you want to add to asking business from referral sources before I shift to talking to clients?
No, I'm good. You cover everything, but I think it's important to just simply ask. And I know I'm shy, I'm an introvert, so it's hard for me to ask for business, but I usually just write out the 3 examples that Steve provides you and just practice with your spouse, your children, your dogs, so you get comfortable with it. So once that you're comfortable with it, when you're asking, you'll come more natural.
I like that. Did you say your dogs ask?
Yes.
That's funny. Okay, the next one we're talking about clients. So you're in the middle of a pandemic. What do you do with your clients? How do you get them to send business and referrals? It's really, what are the actions that you can take now to build and strengthen a referral relationship with your clients? Well, get ready. Here comes number 1. I think you might recognize this one. Pick out your top 20 clients. These are typically going to be the top 20 individuals or companies that spent money with you in the past year. And for me, I rank them not based on personality, I rank them based on dollars. So if you've never done this analysis, it's a fantastic analysis to do when you actually rank your clients, not based on, do you connect with them, do you like them, do you feel good about them, do they feel good about you, do you hug? No, just rank them based on dollars and say, okay, what are my top 20 cases or my top 20 clients from a revenue perspective? Once again, I'm going to highly recommend that you pick up the phone and call them and work through the same conversation that I did before with the referral sources, which is, how are you doing? What can I do to help? Is there anything that you need? Is there anything that you're dealing with I can help with? And ask those ask those clients, what do they need? How can you help them? Once again, don't email. Do not email. Email is a lazy way of avoiding accountability from a marketing perspective. Pick up the phone and talk to them. And most of the time, people are so stressed right now, so worried right now, and so anxious. They're not looking at email. If they are looking at email, it's just getting lost. So my strongest recommendation is that these are your top 20 clients, pick up the phone and call them. My second recommendation is the other 80%. So we talked about your top 20% more than likely. Your other clients, then you can delegate to your team. But once again, I would have your team call them. And from my perspective, the phone call is critical. Your team will want to send emails because they don't have time for phone calls. It's a terrible mistake. Your best thing is to pick up the phone and have your team call them. Our recommendation is have the team to make 2 calls before 10. This strategy is commonly called 2 before 10. That's where the name 2 phone calls before 10 comes from. And the intention is that your team member calls 2 clients to check in. In case it could be Kimberly or someone else, you call the client and say, hey, Kimberly asked me to call. Want to know how you're doing. If you need anything, how are you doing during the COVID crisis? Is there anything we do to support you? And in Kimberly's case, she's doing webinars for clients. I know Brian's doing webinars for clients. A lot of people are doing different things. Make sure that you have your team share something with them. Ask them to connect with you on social media, whatever it is. Maybe a very, very small ask. But my experience is that if you have your team connect with your clients, number one, it builds tremendous goodwill, but it also increases the probability from referrals of their friends and family or actually additional business from the clients.
Steve?
So this really depends on your practice area. We have about 200 different lawyers on the call today. We have multiple different practice areas, so it's really hard to go too deep in different practice areas, plaintiffs, family, etc. So you kind of have to think about it from your perspective, what your team's going to do and what they're going to say, but you must do the top 20, and I'm fine if you delegate the other clients to the team.
Steve, We
Yes,
had a
Mike.
question come in related to top 20 clients. And
Sure.
for personal injury attorneys, how would you suggest who the top 20 clients, since we're not getting paid until the case is over? I would think that it might be your most recent great clients that you've actually won cases for to call. Would there be something different to that?
You know, Mike, it's a great question. I think I would divide it both ways. I think if I'm a PI lawyer, which I did practice PI law, I think I would pick my top 20 cases, and I would pick those top 20 cases by potential damages. And I would call those top 20 clients just to check in on them. Because the worst thing that can happen to a PI lawyer is to have a really great case, leave your firm and go to another PI lawyer. And a lot of these people are locked in, you know, they're all shelter in place and they're watching TV. And good Lord, right now on TV, every commercial is pretty much a PI commercial. So if you've got 20 great cases, I would make sure I call those 20 clients first. And then I wouldn't hesitate to call your past 20 great cases just to check in on them. And I think it's a great question from a plaintiff's perspective. But the last thing I want to do as a plaintiff's lawyer is have one of my top cases go away from me because I haven't been in touch with them. So pick up the phone, call your top 20 and top current 20 and past 20 if you've got the time and the inclination to do that. Great question. Mike, anything else before I move to the next
Well,
one?
they sent in a follow-up question about when team members are calling your 80% clients. Would you recommend they also say, if you send us a referral, this is how we will be treating them? I would imagine if your team's reaching out to these clients, they're good, satisfied clients, and they might just say, you know, the great experience you had with us, we're going to give to them too.
It's a great question. I mean, yeah, I like that, Mike. I think your point's a good one, and you can also experiment with the question. Try the question on 10 calls and try it without 10 calls and see what happens. Right now, marketing is all about being in action and experimentation. I don't think anything is a take it to the bank strategy. So if you do it, I think it's a great thing to try. But the fact that you're actually doing is what matters to me. Okay, Mike, I'm gonna hit the next couple of slides. I want to get Brian here, and I want to get Kimberly back up. All right, on two topics. So one of the things I'm going to recommend, my third strategy, and I'm trying to manage my time, is to make sure that you go back to your old prospects. One of the things that lawyers do a terrible job on is remarketing back to old prospects. And these are usually people that didn't say no. They probably didn't say right now. They didn't say, yes, I'm ready to go forward, or they didn't say, I want to hire you right now. They didn't say no thanks. They're just kind of sitting there lingering. In a lot of law firms, there's good cash flow in old prospects. There are people that they just weren't ready to do something with you for whatever reason. So I would suggest that you take a step back and say, what would be a good virtual education process or good education event to my past prospects? And what type of videos could you send or create to them right off your smartphone that you could send to them during this time period and just to reconnect with them? So those were the strategies I want to talk about. I want to talk a little bit about, those were about talking to professional referral sources and to past clients. I want to talk a little bit about 5 to 6 marketing ideas. I'm going to bring Kimberly back in a few minutes, and I'm going to bring Brian Douglas and reintroduce him to you in a moment. But first and foremost, from a marketing perspective, I know this sounds obvious, but depending whether you're essential or not essential, and how you define yourself under your jurisdiction, get the word out. A lot of lawyers are not letting their clients and referral sources know that they're open. So if you're open, let people know you're open. Let them know how you're handling things. Do it if you have to by email, do it by phone call, whatever you need to do, do it. But let people know and communicate that you are open and you're in business. 2, don't hesitate to use social media right now. But if you're using social media, my recommendation is share ideas, resources, thoughts, and encouragement, no politics. Look, I really cannot emphasize this enough. I really don't care about your feelings about the president. What I care about is whether or not you get new business. And most people really don't care about your feelings about the president, and most people don't care about your feelings about, you know, who's running for president. They really don't care. And as a lawyer, sharing that on Facebook or on LinkedIn or on any other social media platform is a disaster, because you will alienate 50% of the people that are following you. unless you're actively involved in one party, you've already alienated those 50%. So I'm going to strongly recommend stay out of political conversations on social media. Just avoid them like the plague. If you want to talk to your spouse, your friends, call them on the phone, that's great, but avoid political conversations like the plague on social media. It is quicksand and disastrous and will blow up in your face. 2, don't share blame on social media. Share solutions. Look for solutions, don't blame. Because people are looking for leadership right now. They're not looking for finger pointing. So you as a lawyer, a leader in your community, need to exhibit leadership skills, not blaming skills. So I'm going to encourage that if you're on social media, be on social media to help, not blame, not talk politics, not to finger point, but to share ideas, thoughts, and resources that might help people go through this crisis in whatever way that you can. It could be anything as simple as where to get toilet paper to how to stay calm and deal with, homeschooling now. So just do yourself a favor, avoid politics and blame on social media. 3, community projects. And this is where I'm going to bring Brian Douglas. So I introduced Brian briefly, but Brian, are you with me right now?
Yes, Steve, I'm here.
Wonderful. I don't know if you're on camera or not.
Oh, I can be, but
you don't have to, bud.
If anyone wants to see me, I'm glad to turn my camera on.
I got a picture of you right now. We have a picture of you right now, and I'm about ready to share a Facebook page, and 3 of the most beautiful little girls on the planet. Now you're doing something really cool here and really interesting, and Mike's going to share the link so people can see the video, but Mike, wait till he explains this, then share the link. So Brian, please talk to us about what your idea is and what you're doing.
So my idea was to try to figure out a way to give back, to help out my local community. And I didn't really limit it to that, but it's, a big part of my Facebook following and my database is here locally in Atlanta or in the Georgia area. And I wanted to do something that number one, gave back, but
connected to DESKTO.
That's not for me. I wanted to do something that supported my community, because we do a lot of community marketing efforts and we try to support our local community, but also something that really was kind of game changing as far as what happened, something that's kind of groundbreaking. Right now is a time where people are worried about money and people are worried about their jobs and so on and so forth. And I'm a small business owner. I have been for 20 years, and what many people on this call probably are as well. And I know how hard it is, because we can't just go to Wall Street and put out stocks and bonds and try to get to raise money in any different way. It's really hard for us, and the options are very limited. So I wanted to try to get some money out on the street. And I thought, if I could do this, if I could come up with a plan, maybe other people would follow my lead and go ahead and do this, and that we could kind of all work this together, because, like Steve said, there's a lot of frustrations and feelings about Washington and whatever you think. Like, it's really hard to roll out a big program, and things have taken a long time. And there's been a lot of kind of political gerrymandering around that. And the bottom line is I wanted to help people. So what I came up with was a small business and local charity initiative. And basically it works like this. If someone goes out and buys a gift card at a local small business, and I say local, it doesn't really matter where it is. I've honored everything. If they buy a gift card there, or if they donate to a local charity, I will match that up to $100 per person and $2 per family. So I've set a $5,000 limit for the first round, and it's gone really, really well. I've gotten a tremendous amount of feedback and a lot of really good support from it. And the reason I did it that way is I just want to spread the love, and I want to get people to put money out into the community and support small businesses where they might not have otherwise done this. So for them, it's kind of free money. And there's some people that want the gift card. So I buy, you buy $100 gift card at your favorite local restaurant, and I'll send you a $100 gift card that matches it. So it's, it's dollar for dollar match. I've had some people that donate to a charity, and then I just match the charity. I've had some people say, I'm going to buy the gift card, but I don't want another gift card. I want a charity. And this is an email that I shared with Steve, somebody that's in my database. And every week we send out probably, I don't know, my database is probably 3,700, 4,000 people. So we send out a different email every week. And when we did it on this one, someone forwarded my email who works at the courthouse here, one of the local employees of the courthouse. They sent it to all the judges, to the district attorney, to all the top players in everything. And they forwarded me the email after the fact. And they sent this out for me. And this is exactly what I wanted, because number one, it spreads the word and it gets a lot of goodwill out there. but I've got other people now marketing for me. And that was, you know, for me, that was the payoff right there, is this email. And I've gotten so many shares and retweets or whatever they're called, and you know, all that fun stuff, that's the piece I wanted. So I get to do something really good. I get to help people. I get to totally differentiate myself in the market, and I've got other people talking about it. I've gotten emails and texts from judges saying, judges I don't even know, by the way, that say, this is brilliant. Thank you so much. This is so great. And I feel really honored that I get to do it. And there's a lot of people that are working still, that do have money, that are in a really good place. And I think they feel, I won't say guilty about it, but they see other people suffering, and they kind of feel the pain that's going on out there. So when they see something like this, they're glad to jump in and to help out, because it makes them feel a little bit better, and it makes them kind of spread that love that, you know, that we really need right now.
Steve, I'm afraid we can't hear you.
Yeah. Glad it wasn't just me.
No, sorry about that.
are.
My for some reason, keep switching my speaker and my microphone. So it's a little bit of fun.
It's okay. We're all getting better.
Brian, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm glad you're having fun at my expense. Brian, I want to commend you first and foremost. I think it's a fantastic, fantastic idea. And it's a fantastic use of $5,000 to make a difference for other people and to charity. And it's just a really brilliant idea. And I like it because it's not, you could take $5,000 and spend it on Facebook and maybe try and spend brand awareness, but this is a completely different way of spending $5,000 that is far better than a $5,000 advertising campaign, because it makes a difference for people. And people are talking about it. So really good work. So I want those of you on the call or on the webinar to see what Brian was doing, because I thought it was unique. I thought it was unusual. I thought it was different. And I liked how he was thinking out of the box. And it's one of the things I really, really appreciate about him. He's a great thinker. And if you're trying to go to the next level in your practice, doing what your competitors are doing will not get you there. Thinking differently and approaching the practice differently is really what's going to improve you. It's not going to be drafting a better trust or drafting a better pleading or making a better closing argument at the end of the day. It's going to be about getting that great case that you can make a better closing argument from, and that's going to come from your reputation and your marketing, and that's how it works, unfortunately. So Brian, thank you. I've got two more, and one is I'm going to bring Kimberly Lee back up. Two more, I guess. One is care packages. And one of the favorite care packages that one of our clients is doing right now is Craig Goldenfarb. Craig Goldenfarb is one of our Dominate Your Market clients. He's an ambassador of our client, one of our big ambassadors. He runs a fantastic plaintiffs firm down in South Florida, and he has about 60, 65 employees. And Craig's care package is hand sanitizers. He did hand sanitizers with little care package and sent them out to a lot of his referral sources. I got the biggest charge out of that. I thought it was clever, cute, and fun. So think about what would be a great care package. The next one I want to share with you is dinner and drinks. And this idea came from Carl Dore, who's a oil and gas lawyer in Texas. And Carl is doing dinner and drinks with his referral sources and clients, and he's using Grubhub. And so he'll do like an Italian night, have a bottle of wine and Italian food delivered to the client, obviously calling and letting them know it's coming. And they join them for dinner via Zoom. And so they have dinner and talk over drinks and Italian food via Zoom. And I thought that was a very clever idea. So I thought it was terrific. And I just want to share that with you from the perspective that it's a great way of connecting. And people remember that. They'll talk about that for years to come. And then last but not least of ideas, I want to bring Kimberly back. Kimberly, I can't see the camera, and I'm having all kinds of fun with the microphone and speaker, so I'm just going to see if you're there. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, wonderful. Talk to us about what you're doing with your first responder support program.
We thought, similar to Doug, we wanted to give back to our community. So we started a first responder campaign and project where we're providing free planning services for the first responders. So we kicked it off with a TV commercial. We figure everyone is home watching TV anyway. And this actually came from one of our team members. Her mother is a first responder. And she brought up the fact that, how can we give back to our community? Because we're doing Steve's 1,000 or 30-day 1,000 gratitude challenge. So that one of the gratitudes we always post is how much we appreciate the first responders. So we are doing TV spots with a landing page so they can go on our website and then basically input their information, and we'll provide the incapacity planning tools for them free of charge. So today, actually, our country club in the area are providing 300 free lunches to the first responders. So we print out the 300 flyers to put them in their sandwich bags so they can take them home. So that's what we're doing with the first responder support.
Okay, so in this case, you're basically giving free services, free healthcare documents. In addition to that, you bought 300 lunches that you purchased through your local country club, helping them stay in business, and had that delivered to the local hospital. Is that basically it?
Right.
Okay, got it. So this is a very simple thing. Kimberly, you'd be comfortable saying what you spent on 300 lunches?
They gave us a cost, so it was next to nothing. It's maybe $8.
$8 per lunch.
It was nothing. And also, one of the concerns we had was, well, what if we have 5 responses or 5,000 responses? How are we going to be able to process and do the work and maintain the quality in the service we have? So we have to work through our internal process and how to make sure that in our effort to provide the public service for our community, we don't inadvertently crush our own business from a cash flow perspective.
That's great, very good. So you had to think through the cash flow and the offer for the free services to support first responders without hurting yourself in the process. So good work. And just like Brian, I just want to commend you. I think this is a fantastic thing to do. I think it's out of the box. I think it's unique. I know that a lot of our law firms, a lot of our clients are starting to do something similar, but you and 1 or 2 others were kind of on the cutting edge with this. And I really, really think it's fantastic, not only because it makes a difference, but I think it's a great way of building your referral community and your client community. So good job, really good job. Now, we only have a few minutes left in today's webinar. I want to thank Brian again. I want to thank Kimberly for taking time to share their thinking with you. They're doing it as favors to me, as a contribution back to the community. What I'd like you to do is just go ahead and write down what are the 3 biggest actions that you're going to take out of today's presentation. Just write them down. What are the 3 most important things that you're going to do? It's really important because hearing something, learning something is of no value unless you take action. So write those down. Just give me 1, 2, and 3. It might be call my top 20. Might be identify my top 20.
Maybe he signed up for LawPay. I just gave Mike the code. It's 3 months for free.
Oh, that's great. Kimberly, I'm going to have you negotiate for me from now on. I'm Irish and German. We don't know how to negotiate. We can get in good fights and drink a lot, but that's about it. We can hold a grudge really well, but that's about it. We can't negotiate for beans.
Kimberly, we've got a couple questions for you. Is that okay to fit those in?
Hold on. Before you do that, here's what I'm going to ask you to do, Mike. I'm not you, but everybody. I'd like you to share in your chat box while Mike's getting ready to ask the question. If you're in front of your computer, or if you're somewhere that you can share this, share what your biggest takeaway was today out of today's presentation in the chat box. Just post it. Just go ahead and share with everybody what that is. So Mike, go ahead and you can go ahead and ask the questions.
Sure. Kimberly, did you limit the number of free services that you offered to first responders?
I did not. We thought about doing that, but our decision was we actually limit the amount of time, but not number of people. So we limited on the flyers we went out, we are doing 30 days, and then we'll reassess what we need to do. Our plan is to do it until June 30th. So we're looking at 60-day period.
Okay. And the next question, did Kimberly and or Brian redirect your current marketing funds, or was this above and beyond your current marketing funds, what you did with the lunches and the free services offer and Brian's charity donation? Kimberly, you want to go first?
Okay, I can go first. Ladies first, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
we did. Because we normally do a lot of the lunch and learn programs for our clients anyway, but we're doing them now through lunch and learn webinars. So we actually minimize a lot of the marketing expenses that we normally have to spend. So we're looking at, instead of cutting the marketing expenses during this period, we're looking at how to leverage it in a different form to get, same or even better result. In the process, do good.
Great.
Excellent.
Brian?
Yeah, for me, it was addition. We didn't cut. We're still doing our regular marketing. We're still doing everything that we normally do. Obviously certain limitations from a, no contact type situation, but this was an addition. This was just something I came up with, and I'm actually contemplating extending it out further. I said $5,000 just as a target because I didn't want to wake up and have $200,000 checks I had to write out. So I wasn't sure how that was going to work out, but I might continue to do this. But one thing I want to add real quick, Steve, and I want to be mindful of the time, but it's not always about the money either. I mean, I think the theme that you've seen from me, and I think the theme you've seen from Kimberly and other people that are doing stuff, is just figure out a way to help, right? And you can help people a lot of ways without spending money. And I'll give you one quick example. I got a call from a guy. I've never really done a lot of work for him. I've kind of wanted his business, but it's never worked out for a lot of reasons. He called me 2 weeks ago and he said, I got denied for a PPP loan. I don't know what to do. My bank screwed me over. I'm so pissed. I want to change. Do you know anybody? I said, I know somebody. It's really, you're kind of, you're late to the party, but let me see what I can do. Long story short, he called me back today and I'm his new favorite person on the planet because the person I referred him to got him the PPP loan. It's already funded. And that guy's going to sing me praises for the rest of his life because of that. And all I did is I took his phone call and I made an introduction in an email. So I didn't have to spend any money. I just had to help. And people need different kind of helps right now. So just be open to that because that's really what we're talking about here is help.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Brian. Mike, I'm going to go ahead and hopefully people are chatting their biggest takeaways. I'm going to hit a few things, then bring it to a close, okay?
Okay. Here are a few of them. Letting the public know we are open. Asking for referrals, calling my referral sources, reminding myself of the importance of back-end marketing, which is client calls, identifying my top 20. That advertising, traditional advertising, is not working as well right now. Biggest takeaway, Kimberly and Brian's marketing ideas, great stuff. Communicating telephonically and reaching out proactively, and having your team educate intakes more about the new processes. There are a number of more that are getting typed in.
That's great. So that's good. I want you to share those because it makes you push that thinking forward into your prefrontal cortex to think and be in action on this. So sharing these are important. We have our next webinar for those of you that are on this subscription list. And we're doing one on May 20th. It's going to be very unusual. It's called the anxiety killer. One of the things that we're dealing with and helping lawyers deal with is stress and anxiety. Like, how do you deal with this? And so I have a strategy that I'm going to share with you, which is the #1 anxiety killer. I've done a lot of research, and if you adopt this strategy, you use this strategy, you share this strategy, it will reduce anxiety and actually reduce stress. So if that's an issue for you, you're more than welcome to, we'd love to see you there. But you're also more than welcome to invite anyone else that you know that might have anxiety issues or stress issues. It could be a family member, it could be a loved one. We can hold up to 500 people on this webinar. So this is going to be a very interesting presentation. So I'm going to encourage you to invite team, invite loved ones, anyone that you think is dealing with a high level of stress and anxiety. And I'm going to walk through a strategy on how to reduce that anxiety. If you know someone you want to invite to these webinars, the easiest thing to do to invite them to these webinars is to text Atticus, A-T-T-I-C-U-S, all caps, to 407-833-6688. So you're more than welcome to share this if you want, or email grow@atticusadvantage.com. And then one of the easiest ways is to subscribe to our YouTube channel. So Atticus has a YouTube channel. You can just hit subscribe, and whenever we post something like this webinar or any other webinar, we do about 2 to 3 a week, I keep telling everybody I'm no longer the webinar king. I want to be called the webinar emperor because I've done so many in the past 30 days that they'll be posted there. And then, of course, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So anytime that we have something that we can share, we'll share it there with you. Mike, is there anything else that you want? I know we're right at 4 o'clock. I don't want to overstay my welcome.
Just to restate that if you learn about this email, this webinar in an email, you're already on our list, but please do feel free to share how to get onto our list with others. We'll get information up about that next webinar on our website in the next couple of days. We'll post it on social media. So if you're following us, you will hear from us as to how to get registered for that next session, as well as upcoming ones. I want to thank you, Steve, and Kimberly and Brian so much. Is there anything else, Steve, you want to cover before we go?
One thing, Mike, I'm just going to encourage those of you that are lurking on these webinars, that are curious about working with us, to start working with us. And if you want to get started working with us, I'm going to recommend that you begin with a very simple process, which is called a practice growth diagnostic, which is an investment of $295, 100% money back guaranteed. But I just know that a lot of lawyers are kind of adrift right now, and those that are taking action are going to be so much further ahead than the ones that are just adrift. So I'm going to encourage you to, as much as we're giving away as much free content as we can, it's just be in action. And if you want to start with us, that's the easiest place. Go to our website and click Get Started Here and start building that new practice of your dreams. A lot of people are going to reshuffle the deck on you, and a lot of firms are going to be reshuffled. So start thinking, start planning, start working now, and be in action. And Mike, I think that's what I want to say. I just really worried about a lot of people, and really worried about how a lot of lawyers are kind of sitting back and hoping things get better rather than building things and being like our two guest speakers, who I want to thank again. Kimberly, Brian, thank you. You made a huge difference today. I appreciate you taking time away from your practices to share with us. And Mike, make sure you share the link, because it's worth watching Brian Douglas's video just to see his beautiful daughters.
Yes, I just shared that now. Everybody, you can check your chat box for that.
It's totally worth it.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And I'll repost the code for LawPay as well. Someone else just asked. So, we'll have this information on our video replay page, which should be on our website within the next business day or so. So thanks again, everyone.
Brian, Kimberly, Michael, thank you, everybody. Have a great day. Look forward to talking to you guys on the next webinar. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Kimberly.
Bye, thank you.